The quorum, let's call this meeting to order. Welcome to the January 20th meeting of the Citizen Oversight Board. Excited to have you all here today and visit with our guest, Chief Thomas from the Denver Police Department. Also wanted to welcome our newest board member, David Martinez. David, if you want to say a little bit about yourself, we welcome you to the board.
Thank you, Julia, and good morning to everybody. My name is David Martinez. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, which is a little border town near the southwest border of Texas and Mexico. I grew up in Westwood, the west side of Colorado. I'm currently a legislative aide for Representative Javier Mabry. I also am a discovery clerk at the Colorado State Public Defender's Office, and I'm glad to be I'm glad and I'm excited to work with all of y'all.
Welcome. And you say your name, David?
Yeah, David.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so with that, we will turn over to board business. Have folks had a chance to review the minutes from our previous meeting? And are there any modifications, or is there approval to move to publish those minutes? Good morning, Karen.
Motion to approve the minutes from the last COB board meeting.
Second.
Thanks. All in favor? Aye. 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 Any opposed? Great. Okay, thank you. The motion passes. Just one reminder, as we brought on our new board member, David, we currently have one remaining seat open that members of the community can apply for. We have lots of big goals, as we say every meeting, and would love some additional help, but it's exciting to have nearly a full complement of board members here. So thrilled about that. For board members who may or may not have had a chance to view the strategic plan that Daniel sent around this morning that incorporates our edits, I wanted to take an action today to finalize that plan with the exception of Nick's hair. And he wants a new picture. And then we'll move forward with that document. So did you have a chance to review it? And if you didn't have a chance to review it, do you want another cycle to do that? Let me know.
The strategic plan, Julia?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like maybe one more meeting to review it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
So we'll finalize it in our next meeting. And if folks could take the action to review that, that's great. And David, welcome to the strategic plan, and happy to receive your feedback on that. So thank you. All right, with that, I think that's our full set of board business. Chief Thomas, we sent over a number of questions to you. And if you wouldn't mind reading the question out loud before you answer it, that would be good. And then if you have any introductory remarks or anything you want to start by saying as we get started, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, turn it over to you.
Well, I just wanted to say good morning to everyone. Certainly, glad to again participate with this group on a quarterly meeting. I think I just saw Greg and Ms. Castle, come on camera for just a second. Continue to enjoy a great relationship with them. I've actually participated in a number of engagements. With Liz, we met just last Friday to talk about our Bridging the Gap Cops and Kids program that we want to continue with. And so looking forward to a great relationship there. And with that, I can jump into the questions that were sent over. So the first question is the DPD positioned to be in compliance with Senate Bill 217 data collection and reporting requirements regarding use of force incidents, which will take effect on April 1st? And the answer to that is yes. We already collect a vast amount of that data that's going to be required. And in addition to that, we are actually working with the state approved vendor so that we can kind of streamline the collection and the reporting of that data so that it can be, not just available to the state, but also available to anyone who would be inclined to research that. Question 2 is in the DPD's press conference after the July 17th Lodo shooting. I think we're talking about 20th and Larimer. DPD asserts that Officer Ramos fired once and that 7 shots were fired in total. The grand jury indictment of Officer Ramos stated that he fired twice. Can you please address that discrepancy? There's hopefully everyone understands that there's actually very little that I can discuss in relation to that case because it's in litigation right now. But what I can say is that, we provide updates based upon information that we know at the time, and that could be information related to interviews with involved officers, as well as, investigations such as round counts. We have the officers, obviously they tell us how many rounds they fired or believe they fired, and then we do a round count of their magazines to see if that's consistent with what they believe. And so our initial report was based upon those investigative steps. I couldn't really tell you what evidence or assumptions are being operated off of at this time to identify that Officer Ramos fired twice, but certainly a concern. Question 3 is, with Denver leading the nation in automobile and catalytic converter thefts, can you provide an overview of what's being done to address those crimes? So really kind of a multi-layered approach, one, on a sort of, we're reviewing a lot of data to identify exactly where and when these are occurring, sort of matching our patrols and matching our proactive efforts toward what the data is telling us. We're also doing a lot of prevention, educating people on how to secure their vehicles, concerns about, when you are, at risk of having your catalytic converter stolen and how to prevent that. We have offered in just about every district opportunities for people to somehow mark their catalytic converter using an etching tool or using, some kind of high heat resistant paint. We've done a number of events where people can bring their car to us and we'll make sure that that is done for them. And then the other prong is, kind of on a legislative level, we're working with legislators. There's already, something that we worked on with City Council specific to catalytic converters. The city is, working with other cities and working with the state legislature to address the auto theft issue specifically. So really just kind of a sort of a well-rounded approach to address the concern of auto theft and catalytic converter theft in Denver. And I can expound and answer further questions on all of these when I get through here. If anybody has needs further context or something like that.
Just a question for you, Chief, before you move on. So I happened to be getting my car serviced this week, and the mechanic said that in New York, for your catalytic converter, you get this sort of like piece of paper that is stored elsewhere in your car or in your wallet that has some sort of VIN number or, whatever number on it. And in order to sell the parts to a scrapper, the scrapper must have that piece of paper. And so rather than just having a converter with a VIN on it, which the scrapper then takes and scraps, there's this sort of double verification, and the approach of having somebody etch their number in, right, puts the onus on the consumer. So just a thought there. It was very timely advice from the garage. So I don't know if that's something you've explored, but it seems like it works.
I appreciate that feedback. And I guess the one thing that I would say is, the etching and the painting and all of those things, those are cost-free. Those are things that we're partnering with providers to provide that particular service. So there's no charged to the consumer. And again, and I think that the legislation specific to catalytic converters makes it illegal for a junkyard or a used parts salesperson to take a catalytic converter that they believe to be stolen, so that they can't prove belongs to them. So what we're hoping there, what I think the legislature is hoping there is to cut off this, the supply, so that there's not such demand for it. But certainly, I'll take that into consideration and see if there's a way that we can utilize that particular strategy.
Chief, on that point, do people, just for the members of the community, in terms of etchings and painting, do they come to the DPD? How do they engage in these threat?
So typically what happens is the particular police district, they will make announcements through social media and through their neighborhood contacts, letting them know exactly when and where. And so, like the most recent one that I'm familiar with is probably a month ago in District 5. So Lincoln Tech is a trade school that we partnered with in the far Northeast for a number of years, and they will have their students. They train their students in how to do the etching, and vehicles will just come. We'll kind of organize them in a line so they can just kind of drive in. Someone will take their car, drive it up on a jack, get under there, do the etching, and then return their car to them. So we'll do 200 or 300 in a day. So and other districts will do the same thing. They'll advertise and partner with a school or a repair shop or something like that has the capacity to do that work.
So people in the community should contact their particular police district to get this information in order to get done.
Yes, and I think we do a pretty good job of getting the word out when we plan these events, and I can certainly continue to impress upon the districts that this is this continues to be a need for the community.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Okay, I think it was at question 4, which was, could you please speak to any in-academy testing for new recruits? Has that testing process or passing threshold changed recently? If so, how has that changed? And so, while we are aware that there may have been some departments that have lowered standards, either to get into the academy or to graduate from the academy, DPD is not. We have not lowered testing standards for entry into the academy. And then in the academy, every test must be passed at least a 70% rate, which is a post standard. So you have to, and if you fail more than 2 tests, then you're excluded from the academy. And so what we've done recently in my direction is when people fail their first test or score low on the first test, so that there's a concern that that they may have an academic issue, we assign them academy staff to make sure that they have good study habits, to make sure that they're connected to resources so that they can do well in that academic environment. But we have not and will not lower the standard scores. And then the last question, number 5, is each district in charge of their own shift schedules? Do they all use a 10-hour shift schedule? And has the DPD ever experimented with longer or shorter shifts? All of the districts work a 4-10 work schedule. Their start times and stop times are all consistent, and the reason why that is because we constantly review data and we identify high call volume times, and we try to match those high call volume times with overlaps in shifting, so that we can have the most officers available at given times of the day. And what we have identified through reviewing data is that there is not significant shifts in when those high call volume times are across the city. And so that's why every district is on essentially the same shift hours. There is one caveat to that, District 6, which has, I think, a unique challenge to every other district because they have the entertainment district. They have sort of another, we call it detail 4 or a power shift. And they work another 10-hour shift, but they really kind of overlap a good portion of the night shift and a good portion of the overnight shift, and they are available for the out crowd and the other sort of downtown entertainment district issues. So they're really just kind of a force multiplier for that particular challenge. But that's the only district right now that has that issue and has that particular staffing nuance to address that. We have in the past had 8-hour shifts, and I don't know that there's really any particular upside or downside to that. But the reason why the 10-hour shift is generally preferred, not just in Denver, but I think nationwide, is because that allows officers to have those 3 days off. So I think it allows those recuperation so that there's less opportunity for fatigue. So that's why we go on the 410s to allow those 3 days off. And there's no splitting of days. So so officers are working 4 straight days consistently throughout the year, so that they're not changing. They know what their shift schedule is for the year, and that doesn't change unless they change assignments. There have been occasions where we have done 12-hour shifts, particularly like when we have, I think the most recent time where we went to a 12-hour shift was, during the All-Star game, when we needed a significant amount of people to address some of the challenges that we anticipated during the All-Star game. So there are certain events that may occur on rare occasion throughout the year where we realize that what we'll do is we'll put detail 1, which is our day shift, on a 12-hour shift, roughly from 6A to 6P, and then we'll put our detail 3, which is kind of our overnight graveyard shift, on an overlapping shift to cover the rest of that day. And then that detail 2, which is our night shift, we will use them as a response to any challenge that we may have. It could be protest related, or it could be related to an event like the All-Star game, or the Avalanche playoffs, or Broncos playoffs or something like that. So we do on rare occasion put officers on a 12-hour shift. I've done a number of staff studies myself, and the department has done staff studies. And I personally don't believe that keeping people on a 12-hour shift for a long period of time is healthy. And so that's why we don't do it unless circumstances dictate that.
I'd like to challenge your magical thinking on Broncos playoffs, but other than that, I'll go to Anna, who has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, let me unmute myself. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too, Chief. I was wondering if the shift change is affecting the fleet and the fleet availability, and the partnering of the police and the just, I guess, overall the detail.
Yeah. So there can be a challenge with sort of the overlap. So we don't want to have one shift work and then leave their post and then have another shift go and resume that post. So we always have to have an overlap. And yes, there are times where our fleet is strained, where you know, we have by more officers that show up for work than we have cars to put them in. And we do have a reserve fleet that we make the best use of, but there are occasions, hopefully fairly rare, where we do have to partner officers up, at least until that additional shift gets off, so that they can, you know, kind of split up and be in two separate cars.
Is that maybe something where it's a lack of funding for the police department and for the fleet, where
I don't think it's fair to say that it's a lack of funding. It's just, you know, I think that unfortunately, as much as we drive our cars, you know, they need repair. They'll be involved in accidents, and so you know, I think that we have plenty of cars to put every officer in a car. But there are, unfortunately, occasions where a particular district is short in their fleet because, you know, the number of cars are broken down. But we, I think, work pretty well with the budget office to make sure that our fleet is as robust as possible.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Go ahead, Karen. And Anna, if you want to pull your hand down, just make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Go ahead, Karen.
Good morning, Chief.
Morning, how are you?
Well, thank you. My question is specific as to the amount of training that has been added to the curriculum at the academy and among rank and file and the districts who are actually dealing with crowds. The crowd control was an issue that was talked about with regard to the George Floyd protest and the lack of training.
Yes.
What is added at the academy on the listing rank and file and the specific districts who are actually doing crowd control?
Great question. So, so yes, we identify a significant need for consistent crowd control and crowd management, I think is what we prefer to call it. And so there has been, you know, more hours of crowd management training added to the academy than post requires. And we have developed a curriculum that we have every officer go through quarterly that trains officers and retrains officers on not just our policies, but best practices relative to crowd management.
So you can't talk to the number of hours that have been added specifically?
So the retraining is an 8-hour day, and I'd have to talk to the academy to see how many hours of crowd management is folded into. I mean, our academy is 26 weeks long, and I think that there are elements of crowd management that are kind of folded into a number of the things that they go through during that 26-week period. So I'd have to get with them to identify, you know, an hour breakdown, but it is a focus in our academy.
Other questions for the chief? I think that's the end of our advanced questions. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. So following up on that, Chief, Karen's question, I mean, an issue that arose is obviously not just training for new recruits and officers on the beat, but also for supervisors.
Yes.
For crowd management. Can you address that? And I think I've actually asked you this question in prior meetings, but are you confident that if a large-scale protest occurred again in the city of Denver, that your department is ready and to handle it in a much more appropriate way?
So yes. So we're not just training our patrol officers, we're training our supervisors, our lieutenants, our entire command staff. is being trained on crowd management, crowd control. And you know, since the George Floyd protests, we've had any number of protests to similar scale sometimes, and we've not had an issue. So I'm quite confident that if you know, one, I'm hopeful that we're in a better place with our community, that we wouldn't see what we saw during the George Floyd protests. But if unfortunately we did, I feel very confident that our response to that would be much different and would be appropriate.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Chief, do you consider the crowd outlet at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you consider that a crowd control / management opportunity?
I consider that a crowd management opportunity. Go ahead.
So what training is different and being offered at this point as a result of the Lodo shooting that happened with the crowd being let out at 2 p.m.?
Yeah, so great question. So we actually have our academy working right now on a specific training, you know, because that's really kind of a different dynamic. What is happening in Lodo at the out crowd, that's really kind of a different dynamic than what would occur, say, with a large collection of people at the Capitol or some other place, you know, demonstrating. And so the academy is in the process right now developing training and you know, working with you know, experts, you know, across the nation and other jurisdictions that have kind of a similar dynamic that we have in our Lodo area, to make sure that it's specific to the challenges that we're going to see. There are other things that you know, that we're making sure that we do already. You know, when, you know, we shoot for qualification for, you know, twice a year, and we also go through at least once a year. We go through you know, a simulator, which basically simulates you know, whatever we think is contemporary to simulate, like an out crowd situation that we faced last summer. And there are elements already built into both our live shooting and our simulated shooting of crowd environments. So, you know, if you know, we have we have a course where there are targets that you're to fire at, but behind your target there may be something else behind that target, and so you have to focus on what your background is, and if you hit what is in the background, then you fail that course of fire, and you have to be retrained in your shooting.
David, I see your hand up, and then Anna.
Good morning, Chief. I know you mentioned that you're hopeful that the relationship between the community and the police is a lot better than how it was during the George Floyd protests. What active things have y'all done to improve that community relationship, specifically, right, like going into marginalized communities and speaking to the youth or speaking to community leaders, community organizations to improve that relationship?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So, you know, I and my entire command staff has done a lot of work working with Servicios, working with the Black Roundtable, working with the Far Northeast community, you know, making ourselves available, participating in events. I think I'd like to highlight the program that we partner with the Office of the Independent Monitor, the Bridging the Gap Cops and Kids program. So that's really a great opportunity, I think, for us to have dialogue and create understanding between youth and police. You know, it's unfortunate that we don't have officers in schools that can, you know, that can bolster that relationship with youth. But I think we can make great use of the Bridging the Gap Cops and Kids program to establish that connection and that relationship.
Go ahead. David, do you have a follow-up? Okay.
No, thank you.
Thanks. Go ahead, Anna.
Chief, just a quick question for you off of Karen and Stefan's point when they were speaking earlier regarding the downtown crowd at 2 a.m. So that extra detail that you were talking about that works the 2 a.m. shift, are the off-duty police officers allowed to respond and back up for that detail when issues do arise and things do happen downtown?
Yes. So, there's a number of liquor licensed establishments down there. Each one of them is mandated to have 2 officers working. And so those 2 officers that are working in each of those liquor licensed establishments is really part of our overall plan to, to manage the crowd at the end of the night.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you. Good to speak with you, Chief Thomas. I just wanted to follow up. Let me lower my hand here. I wanted to follow up because I know that the last time we met back in October, you were talking about some of the weekly public meetings that you're doing at different district stations to sort of review crime trends. And, we've talked already this meeting about the catalytic converter issue. I was just wondering, just kind of logistically, because sometimes it's hard for the public to make it out to the different district substations, if there has been any changes to make those meetings available online, even if just to observe. I know it might be hard to, make the form available so anyone can just jump in and say whatever they want, but has there been any changes to make it available online?
I guess maybe I'll answer that 2 ways. So we have a crime strategy briefing every Tuesday to talk about crime trends. And that's where, I hold the district commanders accountable for the things that are going on in their district and challenge them on the strategies that they're using to address those things. Just last night, one of my points toward transparency has been to bring that to the community. We've done 3 of those as of last night. We did one in District 6. We did one in District 3, and then last night we did it in District 1. Probably 100 people in attendance. I can probably figure out a way to either record that or allow for people to connect online. I do know, though, because I think the other part of that is that each district also does their own sort of community meeting where, we call it our community advisory board, where we invite neighborhood leaders, community leaders to come and sit down with the commander, and they go over trends, concerns, issues that are happening in that district. And I do know that there is the capacity to have online participation as well, because there are districts that are doing that. District 5 does that right now. District 1 does that right now. District 3 has chosen not to do that. That's been a choice of the community, is to not have that online component. They did during COVID, so we have, again, the capacity to do it if that's a community desire. And District 4 also has sort of the hybrid model where you can come to the station or wherever the meeting is being held, but there's also a way to participate online.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Following that, go ahead, Larry.
Oh, good morning, Chief. I had a question around secondary employment.
Yes.
There had been some publicity in the news a while back around that. And my question is around kind of how is that going? Is secondary employment also with like the challenges of staffing? Is that something that has been an additional burden, or has the department been able to manage secondary employment well?
Well, so, I think we are able to manage secondary employment well. We periodically do audits to make sure that officers are working, the appropriate number of hours during a week, during a day, because we have, limitations on how many hours an officer can work during a day or during a week, because we don't want officers to be fatigued. We recognize the concern there. And so there is audits that internal affairs and our professional development team can do and periodically does to identify whether people are working more than they should, or working and not accounting for the work that they've done. So I think it's an issue that we can manage. I also think that we continue to tweak the software that officers use to put their secondary employment hours in, to make sure that that people can't do two things at one time, or that people can't add an off-duty work assignment where they don't have the capacity to, given our limits per day and per week.
Just to follow up to that, has there been a lot of demand for secondary employment?
To be honest with you, there's probably more demand than there is supply. So there are the Denver Broncos, for instance, there's quite a demand for officers to work those large scale events. Rockies, there are various parades, parade of lights and things like that, and it's often is difficult to staff some of those events. I think that there are Whole Foods and King Soopers. There are things that there are venues that would like a police officer to be there for safety, and sometimes they're not able to fill those positions because officers just aren't inclined to work.
Is there another option for those organizations that have events that may require a police officer, and if they're not able to get one because
there is, so certainly a place like King Soopers, Whole Foods, they can certainly employ private security. Other private venues certainly can hire private security. What we have done to sort of overcome the challenge of like a large scale event like the Broncos, we already have MOUs with other departments that we understand are going to agree to do things the way that DPD does things, and so we'll have those other entities sort of bolster our force in those large scale situations.
Thank you.
Two questions. So I know there are also city events where police are required, like the Colfax Marathon would be an example. It's another board I sit on where we, are required to use DPT. It's obviously very expensive and sometimes kind of hard to find the staff. So do you have a sense of is that based on sort of staffing and demand, is that something that will remain? And is that framework sort of permanent, or is that something that might evolve over time?
In terms of the number of officers that work or are available to work?
Well, just a requirement to use DPD officers versus private security for certain events in the city.
Well, I think that there are some events that the charter requires a certain number of officers per number of participants. And so, any change there, I think would have to be sort of a legislative, voter approved change. Again, like Colfax Marathon, for instance, I mean, I think we understand, as I'm sure you do too, the need to make sure that that's a safe event. And I think we do the best that we can, staffing it with off-duty officers, with cadets, with other personnel that we have available to us to make sure that it's a secured and safe event. If we feel like we need additional assistance, we can certainly call on our neighbor departments to make sure that we have it adequately staffed. And if it's something where we really have a concern that we need to draw on-duty resources, for instance, to make sure that that certain parts of an event are covered, then we'll do just that. We'll utilize on-duty resources to make sure that we have appropriate staffing at intersections and things like that. and then we'll have to be creative for how to backfill for those losses that we pull from the street.
Thanks. Just another question following up on Karen's line of questioning around training. So, you know, since I've joined the board, there have been a number of, you know, new trainings or requirements added, de-escalation training, you know, EDI training, like various things, which, you know, I know have been part of a commitment that the DPD has made to the public, but when it comes down to getting officers to attend that training or deploying that training, there's been resourcing issues and you know, challenges with actually getting folks to do the training. And I just wonder your perspective on like, where is that all? Has that changed? You know, as it
well, so I mean, obviously, you know, drawing someone off the street to get trained creates a staffing challenge, but we're able to meet our training goals, our training requirements. You know, we were able to get 100% of our force trained in our EDI requirement, I think before the end of the year, and if not before the end of the year, certainly very early in this year. And so, you know, thankfully with the mayor's budget, we have the capacity through vacancy savings to make sure that our ranks are appropriately staffed on the street, so that officers can go to those training assignments and do those classes either online or whatever forum is created to do that training. So you know, I think that all of the mandatory training and the training that I believe, or the community believes, is important for officers to have, I think that we can get officers through that training in a reasonable amount of time. And even if it does create a staffing challenge, I think that's something I can overcome.
Thank you. Other board member questions? Okay, I will take silence as a no. With that, Chief Thomas, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate your candor and insight, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay.
Interested in knowing if the monitor's office and our new monitor, Ms. Castle, has any updates for us that are appropriate for the public forum.
There you go.
I will defer on any new topics to Mr. Crittenden, but I wanted to just reiterate what Chief Thomas said. We've had the opportunity to meet in the community, most recently at the couple of Black Roundtable events, and already, I believe, have established a limited relationship, but look forward to working with him and Chief Diggins. And feeling very welcome.
Stefan, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, a couple of things that Chief Thomas mentioned that I just wanted to raise, to get people's thoughts. I mean, these public meetings that each district has, the crime prevention items that he mentioned, the catalytic converter theft initiatives that have taken place. I wonder, and perhaps we do this, and Daniel, you're obviously more familiar with it. It might be helpful to post those sorts of things on our social media page. Maybe you do some of that or all of that now, just so, because I know probably members of the public may look at our social media and our website more than perhaps the police social media and the police website. I wonder if, because I found a lot of that to be pretty helpful information for the community to know. I mean, I've had one of my kids' catalytic converters got stolen. I didn't know I could go and, you know, get this painting and scripting on it. I mean, that was good information just personally. I'm sure others could use it too. Is that something that we can do or that you have been doing?
To the extent that I see, you know, notifications about events like that or opportunities, I do try to amplify them on board social media pages, particularly Twitter. I'm not, you know, if there are, Chief Thomas, perhaps you can help out, but if there are particular, you know, hubs or pages where people can go to where there are regularly posted updates, we would be happy to link to those on I can update that on our website as well, and just sort of provide a list of, you know, District 1 events can be found here, District 2, et cetera.
Sure.
I could do that very easily.
Yeah, we've recently been introduced to the PIO for the DPD, and so maybe there's a good opportunity to collaborate then when we meet.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, that's all right with you, Chief.
And maybe Elise could help too. I don't know. I'm just raising.
Yep.
Okay.
Agree.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good suggestion. Okay. Anything else? Go ahead.
I forgot to mention that the office, I had an opportunity to meet with Chief Thomas regarding the Bridging the Gap program, which is the OIM program that puts kids and police together in order to foster those relationships. And Chief Thomas immediately got on the horn and got us some more officers to join. Kind of things had lagged towards the end of the year and through COVID. So I anticipate that program is going to get going again at full strength, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the chief has really assisted us with that, and we appreciate it. And we're always looking for volunteers. There's a volunteer opportunity in facilitating programs and working with the kids. So we will perhaps maybe draft something that can be put on the COB website in addition to our website, so we can involve more of the community in that. Thanks.
Okay, that all sounds great. Does the monitor's office have items that are appropriate for an executive meeting, open investigations, or other ongoing matters that you'd like to discuss?
I didn't receive anything this week. If you all had any questions or anything for us, we're happy to take it in regards to any pending open cases. We don't have anything today for public discussion.
Okay. I do have a set of questions I'd like to ask the monitor's office regarding an open investigation. So if we might transition to executive session, I'd appreciate a vote to get there or a motion to get there.
So moved.
Thank you. Great. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. See you in executive session. Thank you. Thank you again, Chief Thomas.
Thank you.
Chief. Thank you, Chief.